which is bizarre. So you get 2 hours when you go home where you have to still do work that you don't necessarily want to do. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so we are almost finished. Just a question regarding faith. Why do you think these kind of events are important? And and what is your opinion about it? How did you feel here? I mean, did you find it interesting? Did you find it worth traveling here? Yeah.
So I think these sort of events are very important because I think that community is massively important. So meeting people who are interested in the same sort of things and sharing ideas and being able to learn from one another is something that is extremely powerful and very, very important, particularly if it's a slightly more minority group of people who are doing something that's an alternative form of education, whether it's home education or unschooling or whatever it is. So I think events like this are massively important for that. So networking and growth and learning. With regards to this specific event, I have absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed my time here. I really enjoyed sharing my home education experience at a talk the other day. I've been inspired by some of the people I've met some incredible people, and it feels right to be here. So it was definitely worthwhile making the trip over from Ireland. More than worthwhile, actually. I don't really have in short, it was brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Well, as I'm not an education expert, is there anything else I should ask you? Or a question that you find interesting?
I don't know. I know a bit about education, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert either, so I don't really know is the short answer. No, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Yeah.
Wait. No.
Yeah, no.
After being here this year, I think my next year will be built around being able to come here for the full week, because I was only able to come from Thursday to Sunday, and having the couple of days here was very inspiring, and it's lovely to be in the middle of Spain in summer. So yeah, next year I've been so inspired. I think that my entire year will have to be built around running up to FACE. So I don't think I could come up with a better endorsement for the festival than that.
Thank you.
No, thank you
very much. So please present yourself, your name, surname. What do you do in life?
Into the camera?
Me.
Okay, to you. So my name's Oisin O'Neill. I'm from Ireland, and I do lots of different things for work, but at the moment I'm a musician and an English teacher, so I teach guitar and I teach music. Was invited here by Dara, and yeah, happy to be here.
What is your relationship with education?
So I was home educated from when I was a baby until 12. I went to school for 1 year, mainstream secondary school in Ireland. Came out for a couple of years and then went back in to do the Leaving Cert in Ireland. It's the Selectividad in Spain. So, yeah.
Nice. And what do you think? What are the challenges for education?
The challenges for education. That's a good question. One of the main challenges, I think, is that the mainstream education system is based off an outdated system that was brought in around the time that we had the Industrial Revolution. in the Western world. So at that time we needed to decide, okay, who can be a doctor, who can work in a factory, who can be a farmer, etc., etc. And we still have an education system that is largely based off this, and it's also largely based off whether or not you have a high IQ, which are two kind of mistakes to make, I think, because what ends up happening is people who are either lower on an IQ scale but also don't fit into a perfect box of what job they would like to have tend to find it more difficult to have a clear path that they would like to go down. So that's one obstacle, is that the system is slightly outdated, and I think it needs to be upgraded to allow for the fact that now we have the internet. Like, we don't need to remember everything. If you forget something, you can Google it, and everybody does that all the time. We can now outsource our need for memory retention. So changing that, I think, would be one of the main obstacles to overcome for education in all of the Western world. It's pretty similar in most of the countries I've looked at.
Being home educated, what difficulties did you find in your path, learning path, or even knowing other people or friends that you can have that have not been home educated? I mean, people that you know that are more, let's say, mainstream educated. What difference did you find?
So the differences I found difficulties. So the differences between, say, somebody with my educational experience and somebody who's gone to school from when they were 4 or 5 until they were 18. One of the difficulties for me is that making decisions can be hard, and learning how to make decisions for yourself, although it's massively important and very rewarding, it also is quite challenging at times. Excuse me. The other thing that, for me, I know that I need a certain amount of structure in my life, and growing up it was quite unstructured, and for me now as an adult, that's something that I've had to implement. I need a kind of a routine, and I need to be able to do certain things at the same time every day or the same time every week. That's something that just helps me function as a human being. So that's something that I found difficult. I would have to say, though, that there's no way to say it without sounding maybe arrogant, or maybe there is. I don't want to come across like I'm saying home education is the best form of education, because I think school does suit certain people. So home education may not be for everybody, but it definitely suited me and suited my interests and my needs, and being allowed to develop at my own pace. And even though it's a difficult thing, that thing of making decisions for yourself and deciding what you're going to do and when you're going to learn it and how much time you can spend on it, that has been invaluable to me as an adult now. And I see people around me who have a more mainstream education background and seem to find it very difficult to think creatively, and seem to find it very difficult to be idealistic about things and strive for something a little bit better than what they currently have. Because I think if you give a child time, and you give them opportunities for following what they're interested in, amazing things will happen. But going back to the earlier question, the other difficulty with mainstream education and with education in general is a lack of time. Is that your time is taken up from 9 o'clock until, say, 5 in some countries. Changes from country to country. I think here in Spain you do a kind of a split day for the siesta. So there's not a lot of time then in the day for a child to just be a child and to learn about themselves and learn who they are. And then on top of that, we give homework.